start killing people. So we have a gun we can use, has unlimited ammo, all good. So we have lights here, so let's have a look what happens if we shoot this one and we shoot this. Okay, interesting. So there's some moonlight coming in from somewhere, from the outside maybe. We have this light. Let's try and see if we can shoot this. We have this one. So it's getting the light away from the back end. So obviously they have light going backwards. You can see that. And then there's the directional light coming from somewhere, or maybe it's just fake city light doing something. Okay, there's a lot of light here from somewhere. So if I shoot this one, how dark does it become? Can I shoot this? No. This light here. You can see this one also kind of affecting the environment, but again you have this light being hit on the edges. And also notice there's a reflection here going on. So that's a very common thing I've noticed, like revealing you have this reflection coming from somewhere as well. So question is, what can I do with these? Nothing. Okay. So obviously there's a lot of neon lighting going and I'm not able to shoot it. It's one of the few things I can't shoot. So shoot this. Still you can see the exposure adjust accordingly for playability. And it also affects the lighting in terms of reflection. And you can see that there's not a lot of firelight being affected. It's light on the face, but nothing too visible. This one obviously had a huge effect. So I'm gonna guess that this area is lit up. Again, it's getting darker. This one is darker. Has a small effect there. This one should have some major effect. This corner there. And this. And this. That's for highlighting the building. So you can see here the flare effect that is occurring with this is pretty strong. We can see that there's a strong, seems to be a strong spotlight of some sort, kind of making sure that the environment is lit. But we can't do a lot to test that out though. Here's a light for mood, so you're walking around. So if we get rid of this and this, you can see it becomes quite darker. And we have a light here blinking, flickering a little bit. So if we go for this, then we can look at the light in terms of the environment itself. Okay, so here we can see this green reflection. Now the interesting thing is to observe is this reflection that's happening here. This yellow light reflection. It suggests that there's some light coming through that's not blocked, or it suggests that it was a mixed lighting somewhere. But I'm guessing it comes from the windows maybe. They do have some impact, I'm gonna guess, but we can't test it for sure. So you can see that it's still a bit bright and orange, suggesting this was baked. Maybe they assumed that, I'm not gonna go in there anytime soon. Or let's test this. This one has a more clear effect of being removed. So let's have it. Sorry. So you can see this has the lighting effect still around for some reason, even though we shot it. So that's something we mentioned is happening occasionally around the level. Here you can see again the choices of the lights. They're coming down the hallway. They are making interesting shadows, right? And we are gonna see if we can get this up, but probably not. So here again we have some kind of light source. I'm guessing it's supposed to be this. That's very strong and meant to give a reason for the light coming in. So when we shoot it, this one is still there, so that light is coming from somewhere, and you can see that there is a reflection here revealing some of the source. This might be a hovering source somewhere. You can tell by this area here that has the color of the light a bit. So more than likely it looks like a spotlight, because you can see that the light's kind of spreading out a bit. So we are inside the room now. Here is two different color contrasts. You have a cool blue on the right sides, and you have a bit of a yellow on the left side, right? So if we shoot this, that's adjust accordingly. And if we shoot this, that also adjusts accordingly. But notice the chairs having a light and being lit for some reason. And let's do this, and let's do this. They won't let us do that. That's fine. How about this and this? And then this board has some kind of light from somewhere. Shouldn't be this one doing it. It's like a bright highlight here as well, and you can see there's a light source that was baked or hovering in the midair. Okay, as you can see the baked reflection. So this, one of the things with the reflection obviously is it sticks around. It's not a real-time reflection after all. And that's always something to remember, I think. And if I could just remember how, yeah, so we have our silent gun actually already. We have the camera. Just use the silent gun. Okay, that's a light source here, and we'll look at the highlight there and there. So arguably, I don't know, they might actually have done some texture lighting, old school highlights, to compensate if someone like me actually go around and start shooting things. So the darks. So you can see we shot the light. Here again you can see it outside, and if I do this, you can see there is a rendering effect. See there? That's interesting as well. So there's a highlight there. So I guess it's from this. So that solves that problem. And if I do this, that should be darker. But notice that it's not pitch black in this game. Even though it's a Hitman sneaky game, they are having the exposure being affected, and this is the light from inside. Even though I shot all the light, you can see it's pretty bright for some reason. Is this on? Is that what's... no, I guess it's... so I'm guessing this might have meant to be a bit on for this part, but it's not. Okay, so we are... I guess we're gonna go down now. Let's have a quick look. So it's nice light coming in from the surroundings. We're gonna climb here. I guess we could technically just go higher and then hang there, then go up. So that's a light there, mood lighting. Get rid of it and get rid of this. And let's shoot this. Okay. Shoot this. Obviously this is a longer video than the previous one because I'm doing everything in front of you this time around and kind of commentating as we play. So look at this highlight here. This does suggest either there was a fill light somewhere, or there's a reflection coming out from inside, or you could say they're trying to put some light from the window here. But if that was the case, then you probably would have had some light coming out there as well. Again, reflection. So when we do lighting, we definitely want to have attention to this, especially when you can shoot everything in the game. You would definitely want to keep an eye on these kind of details. So here we have, supposedly it's meant to be this light coming all the way in here. I don't know if that would happen at that distance. So you have nice flickering light, we like that, having some life. So if I shoot it, it gets a bit darker. And if I shoot the other highlights of the environment, there's a certain base value overall in the game. Obviously we are not paying attention to the mission, but maybe one of these people are these people. I guess we could have a quick look at the faces. So that's objective, so he looks like this and she looks like this. That's not him, so we'll kill them if we see them. So there we have this light again outside. Shoot it. Okay, so this does create some discrepancy, right? Like when you are playing a game where you can shoot everything and it's supposed to make things darker. It's an interesting detail to pay attention. What all these small lights are doing, how it's impacting the environment, where the lights are coming from, right? How are they working? Why are they doing certain things? Looking at the color choice is interesting too. Now these kind of environments aren't that easy to do either with all the color, because you want to avoid the Christmas light effect. Okay, so you can see here, well, you used to see it, the light, you can see here as well, the reflection there as well, the reflection that we just got rid of there as well, there, obviously there as well. Okay, now look at this environment, and if I shoot this one is very white, this one is very white, and again there's a reflection when there's no light source around. Let's have a look in other rooms quickly. Server room, have green lights, blue lighting. Now something to notice here as well, this looks like a either a spotlight or actually just a spotlight here that's going this way, or a point light placed in the middle. But you can tell from the shadow that is coming from here, and then it's shooting this way because you have this angle of shadow happening here. You can look at the shadow quality too as well. Now the question is, if I shoot it, does it go away? One thing to keep in mind when we do this kind of work is you might have a light fixture somewhere, but the light might actually be placed somewhere completely different. So here we have some character lighting on the spot here, kind of highlighting this guy. You know. So now this is bright. And if you shoot this, does it get darker? A little bit darker. But you have these red lights in a lot of places showing up, suggesting some interesting combination and range of these lights being reflected across everywhere. So if you take it away, yeah, it's still around. Okay. Okay, it didn't get that much darker. What if I do this? Okay, this one has a major impact. So another thing that's interesting is how much impact do you have when you are doing an environment, and where is it reaching? Okay, you want to do more with less generally when you do this kind of game, and you can see that's what they're doing. They're trying to place the lights strategically around so they have the necessary impact of the environment. Now I'm not sure. I guess it's supposed to come from here. So the red light, you have the reflection issue again. And if I do this, wow. Can't. It's a very strong light. These coming from the chairs. It's fine. So here you have white light, and then in between you have the blue light. That's alright. This one, it's interesting. They have red, blue, and white around here. And then, you know, you can see there's still quite a lot of light despite everything happening here. Look at this. Also, where's this light coming from? Because that's supposed to be from this. That's very strong. Okay. Let's have a look here. So that's double light. But it's not really double. If you looked at the other lights, it's still probably one spotlight, and then it's kind of giving you the impression that it's double light. Right. Same with this one. Just has a nice range of light here. It's nicely spread out to cover more ground. So this one is placed right next to each other. So this double light next to each other, probably one spotlight, I'm guessing. The question is, why is this double light next to each other? Why don't just do one and one, for example? What's the thought process there? I think that's interesting to consider. So now you have flat light coming in this room, okay? So you went from single light, multiple colors, to white light, double fluorescent, and now we are going to area light, which you can see the reflection is not friendly with the lighting in this game. Maybe technical limitation, I don't know. And then we should shoot this. It's a bit darker, feels a bit darker. You can shoot a little bit there. So this one is interesting because this one is over here and the light's reaching all the way past this. Also pay attention that this is probably, I'm not sure, but it doesn't look like, I would argue it's possibly still a spotlight, looking at this shape here and generally looking at the reflections. So they definitely tried making it interesting with the light, having different variances and shapes across. And then can I do anything here? So here's blue, the other one was yellow. Sorry. I just wanted to kill someone. I'm a murderer. And there we have the target. Cool. We are also progressing the game. So here you can see the light coming from outside, hitting the reflection, kind of creating a bit of mood, so to speak. It's this one. I'm trying to see if it's an actual area light. If it was an extra area light. So look at this shadow. If I shoot it. I guess a bit darker, but not too much. Could be a non-shadow arrow light sometimes too, which you might end up using sometimes. So this light is placed to highlight this area. Looks like a spotlight, generally speaking. There's a lot of light here. So here you can see the strong shadow coming from this area of the light source. And then here you can see there's a soft ambient occlusion probably, and here you can see the direction of the light source, and here as well. So probably it's a spotlight. Because area light, generally you want to use it for a softer shadow and softer look, so you would want this look with the soft light on. So here, what's interesting is the minute this one went away, the strong shadow went away, but now you see some interesting light coming from outside. So there's a interesting exchange of exposure when you do one thing and get rid of another thing, which is often what you do want to experience as well. So that's not a bad thing at all. But again, there is no visible logical source for this light. So it does suggest an ambient cube map of some sort. That's also some possibility in that's happening. I wouldn't completely eliminate that. But it's beautiful. I mean, look at that. That's not bad at all. Shoot this, mood lighting, we call this. Here is interesting, and you can see the shadow quality because of the placement of the light and the bias and the quality in general. It's getting a jagged line here instead, and it seems to be a carefully placed spotlight. with the harsh shadow, so it's not softened, because soft shadow is quite often more expensive as well. So do we know the button? Oh, our first guess was completely wrong. So we can go maybe here and see where this goes. Is that the way back, or yeah, dead people? That's how we know we've been here as well. So here's we have some light reflection for this. So if you shoot this, this becomes less interesting. I don't have a way in yet. So there's actually, let's shoot this one. You can see that's a spotlight. And again, in this situation, it's probably a single spotlight, just so you guys know. Just because it's two light sources, it doesn't mean there's actually two of anything. So this is probably, yeah, it's probably just one. I would probably put it in the middle here, and then I would just have the necessary range for it. And in this case, the reflection do work correctly. And then you have an interesting detail lighting there. It is interesting choices, and if you pay attention to some of the light, I think some of those are meant to lead the player, because I'm gonna guess there's a platform to climb over or something, probably. Yeah. So it's, I guess it's a quick way for them to, for you to pick up on it and go, okay, there's stuff. So here you have this detail lighting, and it has zero impact because of all the other stuff going on here, because it's so red. So, well, if you get closer, you can see this has more impact in this area. Also, I have no idea where I'm going. So here, that's interesting. This one was layer 2 for some reason, probably a mistake. And then I'm gonna climb up there, hang here. It would have been fun if I could shoot all of the other lights here, to be honest, to really see what it does. But let's see if I can shoot some from here. This one, so it's a, I'm guessing it would make sense that these are non-shadow casting, right? So they're just meant to create some highlight and some mood. So I would probably have done non-shadow for these. Can I break this reflection? No. Okay. Look, there's some disco balls flying around. What about this one? Okay, these are very strong neon lights, but that's okay. So you have some light there. They're doing some light somewhere. You can see what happens to the overall screen and glow as well, but look, pay attention to this reflection though. And there's some light somewhere here as well. I'm guessing it's this one. Yeah. And then you have a light there kind of leading you for this over there. And you have these two as well. So one thing to observe when it comes to game level lighting in general is that it does, if I'm removing all of the light, then what happens then, right? How am I supposed to know where I'm going next? This also has no visible shadows if you pay attention. So if I do this, it doesn't do much. in terms of shadows. Okay, and that's one thing to remember with these things, is being able to know when to put shadows and when it's not important but you need light, but you don't want to pay the cost of the shadow, right? Can I do something with this since I'm here? No. Okay, so we're reaching a general overview of the environment. That's cool. So you can see the various of way of using environment neon lighting, right? So you have this big sign over there, it's casting quite a bit of light, generally speaking. You have the blue, purple ones casting specifically on the car over there. You have these nice, cool looking dragon ones. They seem a bit inviting too, and I'm guessing there's open doors, so maybe that's where I'm supposed to go next, right? They are illuminating quite a bit of the environment, solving the problem that you need a lot of lights around. And I'm just practicing while we're talking. There's light there as well. And then you have some blue light, which I'm guessing there's something on the other side there. So overall, you know, they're taking advantage of the neon lights, which might be on purpose, that we can't get rid of it, because I'm guessing it would really make a lot of this super dark, to be honest. Can I just jump off, or am I not allowed to do that? Maybe if I just run and jump. No, not allowed. I was trying to jump because I am immortal, so it doesn't really matter if I fall down. And slide down. So let's have a look at the dragon area, which is very well done, and it is very cool and it stands out. So personally, it does invite me over. So you have these again, and if I do this, it doesn't have a lot of impact. So it's an interesting placement. It's at least consistency, but I would imagine they didn't necessarily have any light. I would have kept it emissive in those areas if possible, and then I would just not really pay for anything largely when it comes to the lighting budget in that context. Okay, this is really cool, isn't it? It has a nice glow to it. So we're walking over, and then there is some light illuminating this area over there. So maybe we could see what happens if we... Okay. Wow. It's not... Okay, how about this one? So notice how both of them broke. And this is very common in game development, and most studios are going to do that. And the reason we do it is we want to light, we want the illusion of why it's so bright, but it's only one light source illuminating. Okay, it's not two, so don't put two just because you see there is two light sources. You are only having one light source normally in these contexts. Okay, and there as well, you might think you will want it doesn't do a lot. It's more of a general lighting for visibility reasons, and also the fact that you probably wouldn't cast shadow in some of the lights, right? Here, if you look at the bottom, can you go play there? Probably not. Now, if you really observe the environment, can you spot any shadow? So there's light there, any shadow on the ground or from the trees. And then if you shoot it, what happens? Nothing. Obviously the light goes away, but there was no shadow cost involved in this area. Okay. And let me just go for this one, because you can see a little bit more when I shoot. Right, So again, if you pay attention, does this cast shadow? Yes or no? What do you think? I'm gonna guess it doesn't really do that. Now you might be saying, but your characters has shadow. Yes, that is correct. There are some placement that might cast shadow, or they might choose not to pay the cost for very much shadowing the objects, but they might have turned on the characters as well. So that's another way of doing these kind of things as well. And obviously I'm just following the light sources. Okay. There's a light there, there's some light over there. Didn't I start on this end? Look, these are interesting shadows. Probably why they were put there was because they created interesting shadows. So that's also something you think about when you're doing the lighting, right? You're trying to have something interesting. This one probably didn't cast any shadow, but it was still there for consistency's sake. Okay. So this is the things you want to keep in mind when you're doing this kind of level lighting, especially if you can shoot it. And these are real time, right? So here again, I don't see any strong obvious shadows from this light, because this is all ambient occlusion. Okay. So when you do this kind of level lighting, you want to be using all you can to sell the image, sell the gameplay, and sell the illusion of light. But of course, the fun thing with Hitman is we can shoot most of the light. We can have some fun analyzing it and talking about it. So we're not talking poorly about it. We're not talking badly about it. We're learning together about the Hitman lighting, and also taking the opportunity to pass on some techniques and things to keep on. Obviously here you can see there's a strong shadow, but if you shoot it, you can also notice that this was the actual shadow. Notice how they place some of the lighting in some of the areas. So if I shoot this, you don't notice the character as well. Some of the objects are light for some reason, but you lose interest in their conversation in general. Okay. And here there's a lot of light from this one, but probably also from this one, but you can see there's a shadow there. So I don't know. Where do you think the light's coming from? It's a hidden light, maybe somewhere doing some of the work, right? So it's a good learning opportunity, because normally when you play these games, you won't be able to shoot the lights and actually learn it. So here again, spotlights, you can see the shapes and you can shoot it. This one does cast a shadow on the characters. This one probably doesn't. And you can see how dark it can become very quickly when you don't have the lights. But notice it's not pitch black. Even as I shoot all the different colored lights, you know, there's still things going on for visibility purposes. Now, if it was a different game, you can see the reflections are still active to a certain degree as well. Okay. And maybe we can have a walk in here. So this is obviously good, right? You have the light, saving cost on the shadow, because there's already a shadow cost coming from somewhere else. That's interesting. So let's shoot this. See, this shadow is still there. Let's shoot this. See, this shadow is still there. And then if we shoot this and this, shadow is still there. So more than likely there's a fill light. You can see my shadow here as well, actually. So there's a light hovering around somewhere to fill in this area, basically. And so you can see there's a soft shadow there, and that's still there, so that's ambient occlusion doing the work. So if I quickly just have a look, environment lighting coming in from outside, is it from this one? Maybe. So this is a cheap light, mood lighting. Again, nothing wrong with that. Here you can see the shadow is on without it even looking down. Again, this is meant for mood lighting. This, no shadow. Oh, cute. Isn't that part of the achievement or something, to do something with them? Again, so this is interesting as well, to just point out that the lighting here is warm, and generally in kitchens I would have gone for white, right? Because you're cooking food, you want to see neutral color. So that's a side thing. You can see all the reflections are active here as well. So being aware of why you're picking a color is important, but also remember, most of us have been in the kitchen and there's always generally, so everything is still bright here. So I don't know why it's inconsistent in when I can see the reflections and when we are able to see the differences. I think that is a bit interesting. So this kind of lighting, I think, is always cool as well, having one light kind of illuminate the area. So have a look. I do think this being bright is interesting choices. Okay, let's go back in just to make sure we can see if we can go further up somewhere. So we have a back way here. So we come from downstairs. There's a door here, that's a toilet. Obviously, part of the reason there's a warmer light is mood. I'm guessing we can climb up somewhere. Maybe we can climb up this way. So there's a way there, I guess. If I can't go further, we'll just follow along and see what happens. Can I do anything? Can I go there or no? Guess not. Maybe I just forgot how to play. That's quite possible as well. Can I go to the other side there? So let's try that. Or we can just go finish the mission, because I think you're getting an idea from this level. I think you've general clue of what I'm talking about by now. So let's do that. I think the target is somewhere this way. Looks from other side. Well, that's nice of you. You want me to find out an alternate route, really? Is that the target? And I'm supposed to go there? Oh, okay. She's here. There's an entrance somewhere here. Let's try that. Run! It's probably back in here. Let's just go back up. So notice that this shape, this metal thing around the light is not doing anything as well. So that's either means the shadow is off or they don't have shadow casting on. But you can tell by here and here that it's not actually casting any shadow. Because you need to make those decisions as you play. Are they important? And what was interesting now is the fact that when that light was shot, that green light became even much stronger from the drones. Unfortunately, I'm violent and I just killed them. So, where do we go from here? So we have this one illuminating this environment a little bit, this one, right? And the question is, are there stuff around to pick? And notice how the orange is getting highlighted the more I shot the other light. Again, that has something to do with a little bit of exposure and probably how they're doing their curves, if they have the curves on. Do we just go down? Probably. So there's a light on both of these cases. So we'll have it there. And it's blinding us, so we get rid of this. And we have a look around. Maybe we need to go down again. Okay. This one goes down. Again, you have this one, and look, it's still pretty bright everywhere. This looks... So here, again, interesting, observe the fact that this is probably also a spotlight spread out. And in this case, it could be an area light, but more than likely I'm gonna do a wild guess because it's not casting shadow either. So it might actually be two spotlights, one on each side. Some people might do that too. Sorry. Okay, we have general lighting fixtures on the chair. That's cool as well. Finding ways to illuminate the environment, you know. So if you shoot this, nothing happens. Shoot this, doesn't do anything. So here, obviously, they also, probably for gameplay reason, are making sure that you have to be even more careful, right? They don't want us to do too much of light shooting in this area. Yeah. I don't care. I'm gonna find a card. I'm gonna do the stuff I want to do. No one's gonna stop me. Also, I just happened to remember this. There we go. And I think a banana is in order.